Hey, I want to thank you guys so much for being part of the pledge campaign. We are almost at the end and it is looking really good. So I'm very excited and very grateful. So I'm going to answer a few questions for our Q&A here today. The first one is about books and reading, influential books in my life, and when do I read? The first, I'll answer first the second question, which is when do I find time? Because I do have a bunch of kids and a lot of work to do. I have made it a ritual pretty much to start my day with nonfiction and end my day with fiction. I read both pretty equally, and I value fiction as much as nonfiction and benefit from it just as much. Learned a lot about myself and humanity and God through story. Two books that were pivotal in my life. I read them early on, so they might have a different impact on you if you're older. It might have a different impact on me now, but at the time they were pivotal. One is Madeleine L'Engle's Walking on Water, Reflections of Faith and Art. I recommend it very frequently to young artists, but really to anybody who has creative people in their lives or just want to think about creativity and faith in a new way, a more expansive way. That one, and Humility is a tiny little book by Andrew Murray, written in the late 1800s. I think I read it in one weekend and was just blown away and taken to new depths or new heights, however you want to say it, in terms of understanding the virtue of humility and how important and needed it is. So those are my two book choices. Let's see, what was another one? Crowdsourcing or fundraising for an album. What are some of the hard parts about it, and how have I dealt with that? On a practical level, as far as tactics and ways to do it, you can Google that and pretty much find all kinds of ideas and information and tips. But on a more philosophical level, I guess you could say, if you are not in a place to pay for your own albums, you will crowdsource them if you're in a position to do so. And the hardest part is getting over your fear and your discomfort with vulnerability. And I'm getting better at that. I've done three now. This is my third campaign. And the first two, frankly, I was anxious and terrified the whole way through. And this time, for various reasons, including just having so much going on in my life that I'm just, it's not carrying the weight in terms of my personal happiness as maybe it did before. So I want to do this project, but it's not life or death. We'll whatever will be, will be. So getting over your fear is the hardest part. And getting over that fear is really about holding what you do with such genuine humility that you don't see it as being about you, which makes it easier to extend it in open palms to listeners and say, I really do believe this matters, and it's not because I'm so awesome, it's just because music is mysterious and mystical, and it reaches into places that we can't otherwise go. And so because I believe that, it's pretty easy for me now to say, hey, I want to give you this invitation to be part of this. I think it'll be good for you and good for me and good for all of us. So I'm happy to talk with people more about that one-on-one. Also, you can email me any questions about that process. Next on the list is a perfect day, or what would make a perfect day for me. And someone was just pointing out to me recently when I said, I wonder what's the perfect place to live, like for me and my personality. And she's like, well, you would still be there. Like if you're having trouble in one place, you're going to carry that with you wherever you go, because most of it is within us. And so I think that has to do with the perfect day too. You can give me all the right circumstances, but I would be there, and there's a good chance I would mess it up in one way or another. But some joys that I would love to, pack into one day would be some coffee and good breakfast. I love good breakfast. Actually, I love all meals. I love all foods. So good food, good coffee, some companionship, some solitude, a nap, big nature like mountains, ocean, something awe-inspiring. A good movie and a great dance party. That's a good day right there. And the last question has to do with nature, because I talk a lot about how much I love the woods and love the ocean. And so a friend asked, how does that actually impact your process, and is it easy or hard to make time for it? And it is hard to make time for it. That's the short answer, because like you, I'm pulled in a lot of different directions, and it can feel like an indulgence to just go take an hour and go for a walk. But it impacts my process pretty greatly because it impacts me as a human being. And you go into your art like you go into any other work, with a head full of mess or with some sense of clarity and readiness. And when I walk in the woods with the trees, well, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that I'm a peacemaker, type 9. Something I've learned about myself through the Enneagram is that as long as I'm in a room with another person or a group of people, it's very hard for me not to merge with them, meaning their thoughts and ideas and opinions and feelings and desires can often become my thoughts and opinions and feelings. And so it's not until I go out into the woods, somewhere removed and separate, that all of the noise just goes down, and it's just me and it's God, and I can actually hear my own thoughts and figure out what I think, what I'm thinking about, what I want to say in a song. So it's just it's a way of being alone with myself. So I guess I could do that at home, except at home I'm distracted. But there's also, I think, probably something a little more mystical than that about the trees and the water, because they make me feel small in a very good way. And I feel like I can talk to them in a way, like I hear, the voice of God in those spaces, and I feel a kinship with nature, things growing. So that's about it. Thanks again for being a part of this, and I'm excited to keep taking this journey with you. So thank you.